The first thing I'm getting here, we have an offer that is long awaited and it's finally coming into the picture. What I have here is the Page of Cups. And this is text messages, communication, love offers coming through from another person. What I'm feeling from this card is I feel like somebody is testing the waters with you, okay? I definitely feel like they've got a crush on you. And I also sense that they don't really know how you feel about them. So this is somebody that wears their hearts on their sleeves when they're upset, when they're frustrated, when they're enamored, when whatever they feel, it shows up on their face. So you're dealing with somebody who is very expressive. You know, physically, they're very expressive. They're also very affectionate. And I feel like they are disguising their feelings for you in friendship. So they might put on a front that they're, you know, trying to be your friend. Not in a fake way, but I feel like they're putting on a front like, let's be friends. But then deep down, I feel like they have feelings for you. And they would like to explore it further. And so I see somebody coming in and, you know, asking, do you want to do this? Do you want to get a cup of coffee? Do you want to look at this and talk about it? For some of you, it could be like a colleague at work. Do you want to get a cup of coffee? Do you want to go over this project that we're working on together? You know, things like that. Do you want to get lunch? For some of you. And then for others, it could be like a classmate, somebody that you see, and they say hello and things like that. But I feel like this is the week where things become a little bit more solid, where they are moving and advancing towards you. The energy that you project is, I'm sensing many of you, you've been really, really hurt and disappointed in your love relationship. And I almost feel like, you know, you keep people at arm's length, okay? You enjoy your own company. You're very, very independent, and you hate waiting on other people. You don't like waiting on other people. And so you don't actively seek out crowds. You don't actively seek out other people. And I feel like for you, it's okay. You know, your energy is very contained. But I also feel like there's this, there's a sense from other people that they're trying to reach you. They don't understand why you're so content being on your own. And they don't understand why you kind of, you know, shy away from friendships and social gatherings even. And they don't really understand how you can be so self-sufficient and content just being on your own, doing things on your own. And it's because you'd see the bigger picture. You've got things to do, plans to you know, formulate. And you know that life is not just about, you know, it's nice to have relationships and friendships, but you feel like life is about progress. We move forward, okay? And so if it comes, it comes. If not, I'm not going to sit around and wait for it. So I definitely feel like many of you are self-starters. You have businesses that you're running. You have a lot of projects that you're dabbling in. You also have a lot of creative outlets. I see a lot of people working with their hands, molding things, drawing things, shaping things, composing things, writing things. So you've got a plethora of projects, creative ventures that you're dabbling in. So you don't need, you know, to bounce ideas off of another person. You don't really need a lot of people around you in order to feel not lonely, right? You don't feel lonely when you're on your own. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that, and a lot of people feel a little bit like threatened by it, or they feel like you don't like them. So just I would say, you know, aim to connect a little bit more. I feel like it'll be good for you, and to also not create misunderstandings, okay? So I definitely feel like love and romance is really much the focus, okay? So I also feel as well there's communication coming through from the past, from somebody who's having a lot of trouble letting you go. And this is somebody that, you know, let's say 4 months ago, they were at a very low point in their life. And now things are moving along for them. The wheel is turning for them. They're doing really well financially. They're really doing well emotionally and physically. They're taking better care of themselves. They're very balanced, and they're reaching out to you. And I feel like they're trying to, you know, test the waters with you as well. But I'm also feeling at this point, you are, you know, closing off your heart to this person, and you're no longer going to be feeding into that, okay? So for whatever reason the relationship ended, it doesn't really matter at this point because you're no longer feeling it, but I feel like the other person is doing really well, and they're happy, and they're reaching out, and I feel like you're not going to be reaching back. What I'm getting as well is, when it comes to finances, many of you are saving up. You're handling your money really, really well. And I also feel there's this energy where you are kind of beating yourself up over, I shouldn't have squandered my money in the past. You know, like for the past 4 years, there were a lot of opportunities where you could have saved up. You could have stockpiled your wealth. And I feel like you might have wasted it on frivolous things. And you might have wasted it on, you know, buying things that you didn't need, just like frivolous spending. And you're at a point where you are taking charge of your financial situation. You're definitely shifting money around from checking to savings. And I also feel like you're really looking at a situation very carefully before you invest your money or before you actually make a big purchase. So down to the small purchases, I feel like big purchases, small purchases, you're being very, very careful with your spending. I'm also feeling for some of you, there's this energy here about, you know, like opposition. And I feel almost like growing up, it was really confusing for you guys to kind of find a middle ground. Situations and people that were, situations that were very transformative, or people that were very important to you, things have always been on the extreme ends of the spectrum. So for example, you might have like done work in one situation where it was very, very customer oriented. Customer is always right. And then right after that job, you shifted into another situation where the customer is never right. And so you dealt with really, really extreme ways of doing things. And I feel like it was the universe trying to teach you to find that middle ground. Or at least, you know, one mentality is not always right. The other one was, it's like, it's telling you that, you know, these ways of doing, ways of thinking were very, very extreme for a reason, so that you could find your own path, so that you could find that middle ground. And then I also feel like for some of you, mom and dad, one parent was really, really strict, the other parent was really lenient. Or one parent was very, very neat and orderly and organized, and the other one was just a slob. And so you're dealing with all of these oppositions in your life, so that you can find that middle ground for yourself. You're dealing with these things or these people or these situations so that it can teach you that, you know, things are not black and white. We need to learn to operate in the gray areas, in the areas in between, so that we could become a little bit more mindful of the things that we do, and that we can also come to a sense of understanding that one solution doesn't fit all people, doesn't fit all situations, okay? One solution is not all-encompassing. So I feel like you're given the opportunities many, many times in your life through these interactions so that you could learn to be a lot more flexible. And flexibility for a fixed sign is not an easy thing to come by. So I feel like you're being taught to, you have been groomed and taught to be a lot more flexible, to look at a situation and apply. You might even need to apply different rules, different protocols, different ways of doing to meet the specific needs of that individual or the specific needs of that situation, whatever it calls for. So it's almost like everything is very context specific, and we can't apply one rule, one set of overarching rules to resolve the problem. I'm also sensing as well, there's like a grandiose idea that's being formulated in your head. It shows up here as the Ace of Swords. This is like big plans, big ideas, scoping out new territory. But what I do feel here is it definitely involves the restructuring of the ways that you work. Okay, so the ways in which you earn money, the ways in which some of you could be self-employed, some of you could work under other people, but you're thinking and hatching out some type of plans for you to either change up the way you do things, think of a new way to even handle the workflow, and think of a new way to streamline your work processes, because many of you are very efficiency oriented. Like you want things to be efficient. You don't want to spend too much time, wasting too much time on one specific thing. And so I feel like there is a big plan, a big idea coming into fruition that will allow you to streamline the things that you work, and streamline the ways in which you work and the things that you do. I also feel as well there's a major breakthrough when it comes to communication in your work environment. You're able to reach people. You're able to resolve problems for people. I see you kind of like playing the role of a consultant this week. People are coming to you and they're a little bit distressed, and you kind of have to make sense out of the situation. So my advice overall is I feel like listen to what they have to say, but they're going to be coming to you a little bit frazzled. You know, like they're emotionally very, very up and down. And so you have to make sense of the situation for them. And you have to kind of like summarize very objectively what they're trying to achieve so that you can help them towards their goal, towards their path. So I feel like you're there to facilitate, to bring insights into their situation because you're objective. And because they're emotionally so wrapped up in it, they don't really see a solution. So you're helping them in that way. I also feel as well some major compensation, like a financial windfall, coming through for many of you. And I feel like it's going to be, it's going to add to your coffers. And it's going to be quite successful, okay? So you have some really good news coming in on the financial front. I also feel as well opportunities to reconnect with family members. And like I mentioned before, if you've dealt with situations that were very, very extreme, people who are very, very extremes with their opinions, with their thoughts, with the way that they do things, and once again, that opposite ends of the spectrum, and trying to find that middle ground, trying to be mediator. You might even be called upon to play the middleman and to be the mediator in a situation that might have been very contentious between family members. I'm feeling as well, your hang-ups regarding marriage, regarding relationships, a lot of it stems from the fact that you're looking at your parents' relationship, you're looking at other people who are close to you and their relationships. And I feel like for many of you, you might not even believe that marriage lasts. You might not even believe that relationships are meant to be forever. You might not even believe in like soulmate connections. But this is the week where you start to see that we don't have to be the same in order to work together. We don't have to be the same. You don't have to think like me. You don't have to act like me in order for us to fall in love. So your ideals, your visions regarding love and relationships are slowly softening and are slowly changing, because you're starting to see that, on a human level, we all have a lot of similarities. We don't have to be the same types of people to be the same ideal match, okay? So I feel like you're coming into some really major awakening when it comes to relationships. I keep getting pulled back to this card here, the Page of Cups. And I definitely feel like for many of you, relationships have been very, very rocky for you guys, especially since the summer time frame. I'm seeing like the month of July. There was a lot of flirtation, push and pull, back and forth, and yet the situation just didn't pan out the way that you hoped. And I feel for many of you, you're like, I'm showing my feelings, I'm showing my heart. Why aren't they receptive? Why aren't they responding? Why aren't they, reciprocating? Are they noticing it, or what am I doing wrong? So some of you are thinking that you're doing something wrong, that there's some miscommunication, or like, what else do you expect from me? So I'm seeing that energy. And I feel like some of you are, you're taking one step forward to reveal how you feel, and then you're in a position where you feel slightly embarrassed, and you're like, oh no, I'm too vulnerable, and then you take a step back. So this constant back and forth is what makes the other person feel like you're blowing hot and cold. So if you're wondering, what am I doing wrong? What is the problem? Why aren't they seeing it? I feel like that might be the issue. So give yourself a time frame. If there is somebody that you like, be very, very consistent with your effort. For example, if you're giving yourself a week, for that whole week, be very, very consistent with what you're doing. So keep moving forward. Don't take a step back. No matter how vulnerable, how exposed, how embarrassed you feel, just move forward. At the end of the week, you should have the results that you're looking for. Or give yourself 2 weeks to do that. And at the end of the 2 weeks, if you've been very, very consistent without taking that step back, you should have the results. So it's all about consistency. It's all about being okay with revealing your feelings, revealing your emotions, and not feeling like vulnerability is a bad thing, and not feeling like vulnerability makes us weak.